Fortunate thing.
It is, because a lot of people are saying that he's not able to continue and follow through on some of the items that he talked about during his campaign. Well, when you have stuff like Afghanistan happening, how are you able to focus on, gay marriage, district statehood, things like that, the little things that aren't so little?
Healthcare reform. I would like to say healthcare reform has been in the news. It's constantly in the news.
There was an article that talked about the hot topic, abortion. Now, there is going to be an amendment that is trying to be passed in the Senate and the House that talks about providing women with insurance money for abortion. Now, obviously, the anti-abortion groups out there are saying that they should absolutely not have money, that women should not be given money through the insurance to help them pay for the abortion. So what do you think about that?
I hate it when abortion becomes tacked onto a really important bill because it's such a hot button issue. There are people with opinions on either side, and rather than focus on the main objective at hand, which is to provide people coverage, to make sure they have pre-existing conditions coverage, and that they can afford health care, we're all obsessed about whether or not abortion makes it into this bill as an amendment. And I understand both sides of that equation, and I almost wish that it wasn't even allowed, if we weren't allowed to tack on amendments. In this particular case, it would be helpful because at least you'd see the forest through the trees. This is the same kind of principle that happens during elections, where people end up focusing on these hot button items like gay marriage. Okay, gay marriage is a small part of our societal infrastructure. It is by no means the bigger piece,
Absolutely.
Right? The main focus. So I think it's a distractionary measure, and I wish we'd just stop talking about it.
But the whole bill process, that's what happens. That's how these senators and representatives actually get the little things that they want or their constituents want in as laws. They are passed as amendments, and we, the public, rarely hear about them. I mean, abortion, this has been an ongoing topic. I think we talked about this the last time I was here. So it's inconsequential for the larger picture of the healthcare reform bill. I completely agree with you there. And the other thing that I don't necessarily agree with, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, who are obviously anti-abortionists or anti-abortion activists, they're involved. Now, why are other groups like this allowed to make an impact on bills? I don't think that's lobbying, right? But I don't think that's useful. It doesn't help.
Well, it goes back to the whole concept of separation of church and state. We're trying to solve a problem, and one that's an economic problem for us right now. It's forget about all the other ramifications. It's a basic economic problem. These are economic hard times. We need to find a solution to this problem. Distracting ourselves with these kinds of hot button issues doesn't get us any further to that goal. And so I just wish we could focus on, the meat of the matter.
So actually, talking a little bit about business and switching topics, the Wall Street Journal and a bunch of other articles and papers have been talking about Dubai and how
the debacle that is Dubai.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that was a sleeper. It was a complete sneaker. Nobody really thought that one of the world's richest countries could cause so much of an internal debacle to Dubai, but also have it affect the world economy. So now you have, I believe it's the Dubai World, which is the largest investment company in Dubai, that's also responsible for building the Palm Islands that you may have heard of, where people can actually go out and buy an island for themselves and build on it.
They only used to cost $14 million before. Now they're half priced.
Oh, right.
$7 million.
It's a deal.
So
it's a deal.
You and I could probably go and buy one. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. So, and they might be in foreclosure with the way this is going. But you look at, Dubai World actually owns a lot of things that I'm not sure that people necessarily know. You know that they own Barney's, they own Cirque du Soleil, and they own several high-end hotels.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, Dubai has always been, it's one step up from Vegas. It is the world playground, if not, the place for all rich people to congregate. But what is sad is what has happened to it, and certainly because it's no longer, people can't afford to go to Dubai and pay these kinds of prices anymore. Go and spend and be rich playboys and playgirls in the land of fantasy.
Right. Well, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because as the world was suffering through this terrible economy at the start of the year, Dubai continued to build commercial and residential properties and homes and buildings. They're still continuing to build the world's largest building, which is going to be a hotel, I believe. But they had to slow down. They had to catch on, or they should have caught on, to the fact that the economy is suffering all around them.
Well, at one point they had the largest number of cranes, the concentration of cranes in any one place in the entire world. That's how much building they were doing.
And I think that they purposely do things like that to be in the Guinness World Book of Records. You know, the largest concentration of cranes, probably the most concrete poured, you know, things like that. I mean, I think now they're going to have to take several steps back and figure out how they can actually
recover the economy.
Exactly. And I don't know if you know this, but you know, Dubai, the government of Dubai hired Deloitte Consulting to help them rearrange or help them sort through their finances. So now they're hiring consulting companies to be the country's financial advisor.
Well, I guess for all of us that are unemployed, we should be looking.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, folks, no doubt by now you've heard about the Salehis and their big gate crashing at our wonderful state dinner hosted by President Obama for Manmohan Singh. Unfortunate that they stole all the limelight, but if you've been following the articles, there was one that was really interesting in the Post. It was all about why they got in. They got in because they looked like they belonged. Basically, the article assesses that, you know, these were people that dressed the part, they looked the part, and she especially, having that tall, statuesque, blonde figure, that it was a no-brainer that she should have been on the list, and so, of course, she sailed through. Here's a quote. Would they have been so gullible if it had been a young black man in a tuxedo or a short, squat, gray-haired woman in a modest black dress standing out there in the mist insisting they were on the guest list? Of course, they're talking about the people, the guards that let them in.
Right.
The reason is simple. They say because she evoked the image of a damsel in distress. Think about it. A damsel in distress is not typically depicted as a dark-haired, middle-aged woman. You know, we always see the damsel in distress as this, you know, beautiful, blonde, statuesque person. And even though she was being narcissistic and demanding, she still represents that epitome trophy wife. And you still feel compelled to help her. And therefore, they sailed on through, and it became such a big media frenzy. You know, the article is tapping into something really important there, and that is we make snap judgments. We make calls based on how we perceive people to be, and in this case, they were perceived to be belonging there, and so they went through.
Well, I think appearance is very, very important, and obviously this article states that, right? I mean, they looked the part, so they were let in without question. But that goes to show you, I mean, when you dress to go buy a car, for example, and you're wearing a suit versus a pair of ripped jeans and a baseball hat, you're going to get treated differently.
Or a job interview, for that matter.
Absolutely, even more important with appearances. So, you know, there's a saying that that's pretty popular. It's act as if, and they apparently acted as if they belonged, and they were able to belong, and they were able to get in.
We're going to call it kibosh here on this story. That's it. We're done.